Have you ever wanted to build a really polished, full-featured quiz app in React? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going from a totally empty folder to a deployed application that's packed with features, covering everything from state management all the way to accessibility. Let's dive right in.
And look, we're not cutting any corners here. We're building the kind of features that make for a great user experience. We're talking a timer on every question to add a little pressure, a progress bar for instant feedback, and even local high scores to keep you coming back for more. And really importantly, we're focusing on the professional stuff too, like full keyboard support and an accessible UI, so our app works for everyone.
All right, so where do we even begin? Well, every great project starts with a solid foundation. So let's get our tools and our project structure all set up and ready to go. You're not going to believe how fast we can get this up and running thanks to Vite, a super fast modern build tool. It's just 3 little commands. First, we create the project. Second, we install all the dependencies. And third, we run the dev server. And just like that, boom, we're ready to start coding.
You know, a clean file structure is absolutely key. So let's map out our project right now. We'll stick all our reusable UI bits and pieces into components. The actual quiz questions, they'll live in data. And any little helper functions go in utils. Then, everything gets pulled together in quizapp.jsx, which is going to act like mission control for the whole operation.
Okay, with the foundation all laid out, it is time to build the engine. This is the core logic, the brain that's going to make our quiz actually, well, work.
And that brain we were just talking about? That's our quizapp.jsx component. Think of it as the single source of truth. It's the boss. It's going to manage the timer, it's going to track the answers, and it's going to decide what you see on the screen from one moment to the next. All the important logic lives right here.
So you might be wondering, how does Mission Control keep track of all that stuff? The secret sauce is something called React State. Honestly, the easiest way to think about state is just as the app's short-term memory. It's how our quiz remembers what question you're on, which answers you've already picked, and even if the quiz is running at all.
So for our quiz to work, its memory needs to track a few really important things. We're going to use state to know if the quiz is active. We need to know which of the shuffled questions we're on and store the user's selected answers. And then once that last question is done, we'll just flip the show results state to true, and that's what will trigger the final score screen. We've got our engine designed, the brain is all wired up. So now let's build the parts that the user is actually going to see and interact with. It's time to craft that user interface. The absolute heart and soul of our UI is, of course, the question card. This component has one really simple but really important job: display the current question and the list of multiple choice answers for the user to pick from. That's it.
Now, it is so easy to overlook a tiny detail like this, but this ARIA pressed attribute is an absolute game changer for accessibility. This one little thing tells screen readers whether a button is currently pressed or not, which makes the entire quiz totally usable for someone with a visual impairment. This right here is what separates a pretty good app from a great one.
To make a quiz really engaging, you need to create a sense of urgency, but also a sense of clarity. And that's exactly where our timer and progress bar components come into play. They give the user that immediate, critical feedback on their performance and their progress.
So how do they actually work? Well, the timer uses a React hook called useEffect to fire off a countdown. If that countdown hits 0, the quiz just moves you on to the next question. Meanwhile, that progress bar is giving you that satisfying visual, creeping across the screen, showing you exactly how close you are to that finish line. So we've built the whole core quiz experience, but what happens when the user answers that very last question? Let's talk about the finish line, calculating scores, saving the results, and getting our app live on the internet for everyone to see.
This is what it's all about. Seeing that final score. After you've answered that last question, our results component takes over the screen to display just how well you did. So, what's the chain of events here? Well, as soon as the quiz ends, a function we called finish_quiz kicks everything off. It crunches all the numbers to compute the final score, then it saves that score to the browser's local storage for the high score list, and finally, it tells the UI, hey, show the results component.
Now, to keep that high score list in perfect order, we can use this really clever one-liner. This little sort function first arranges all the scores by the highest percentage. But what if there's a tie? No problem. It then uses the time as a tiebreaker. It is such a clean and powerful way to manage a leaderboard.
We are almost there. The final steps are all about getting our app ready for the world. First, we run our tests just to catch any last-minute bugs. Then, we create an optimized production build. And finally, we deploy it to a service like Vercel or Netlify, which makes sharing your work as simple as just connecting your code repository.
And there you have it, the complete blueprint for a modern, full-featured React quiz app. But you know what? This is really just the beginning. The foundation is all set. So now, the really fun part starts. I have to ask, what would you build next? Maybe you'd add different question categories, or a global leaderboard, or some slick animations? The possibilities are absolutely endless.